distinguished members of the Appropriation Committee. I'm very, very excited in your keen interest and how you have taken these points on one after the other. Yes, in actual fact, most of the newly established hospitals are presently using specialist hospitals or in the state. And that is why they need this take-off grant to maybe do renovations, provide medical supplies, make them up to the standard they should be as a federal institution. And it will be good for you to also hear that this list, there are still some few others. Particularly, I know of one federal, one that was granted a new federal orthopedic hospital. It was a state hospital, but it was now given assent as a federal one. And the take-off grant for it was totally provided for by the state governor. And I don't mind mentioning his name. He's the governor of Borno State. Yes, that's in Borno State, yes. So some states do have actually, when they got the assent from the president to now be Federal Medical Center, Federal Orthopedic Hospital, the state governments went forward and gave them the needed take-off grant. So those names were not listed in our list here. So that's why. These funds are actually needed for them to take up adequately, properly, and do the services that is required of them as federal medical centers and federal university teaching hospitals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Even if you have mentioned the fact that my governor, characteristics of him has fully given the take-up grant for the Federal Medical Center Azare in our local government, which is located in Senator Ndume's senatorial district for its take-off. Characteristics of him being committed to the delivery of dividends of democracy, particularly healthcare delivery to the doorsteps of the people. And I think other state governments should also take a cue from what the governor of Borno State has done to give the take-up grant for their federal medical centers established in their states before the federal government will come in, since both the federal and the state governments are working for the people. I think my governor deserves a pat on the back for that. Thank you.
Able chairwoman of the committee that I'm proudly a member of, I will also join her to appeal to the committee, especially for all these newly hospitals and medical centers that have not been given any startup grant. In particular, and I note here, Madam Chairwoman, that among these institutions, the one in Benin, the Fistula Hospital in Benin is also captured here. It's also one of the hospitals that centers that have been set up, and there's no take-up grant at all. When I visited that place, it's still a bush. They are using a health center as we speak to do their surgeries. And believe it or not, the last time I went, they've been able to do about 9 or 10 surgeries, fistula surgeries. And you just need to see the atmosphere where they do it from. I will appreciate if we can include the Federal Medical Center Benin, Fistula Hospital in Benin, as one of those hospitals that also is yearning for a startup grant. Thank you, Chairman.
Healthcare centers by the government is to bring healthcare delivery to the doorsteps of the people. That is the main reasoning. And for government to establish primary healthcare paramedical centers across the nooks and crannies of the country solely for delivery of healthcare to the people, and at the same time fail to support them with tough take-up grant, is like the government is appropriating and reprobating at the same time. It is inherently contradictory. So this committee will take a particular interest on that aspect with a view to recommending to the executive for government to release the take-up grant of the newly established federal medical centers for them to operate in consonance with the reasoning behind their establishment ab initio. So at this juncture, I'm going to open the floor for distinguished senators to make comments, observations, or questions, if any, to our colleague, distinguished Senator, Her Excellency Banigo Ipalibo. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir, my distinguished Excellency, on page 2 of your report or presentation, number 2, page 2, provision of take-off grants to the newly established hospitals. And you have listed up to 11 federal medical centers or institutions. You mean all of these have not been given any money? So how are they operating?
That is why.
Let us have more questions so that you can answer.
Okay.
Any other question?
Our dear sister, our very amiable sister, what you submitted here has no statement on the 2025 budget. It's only the 2026 budget that you presented to us. One is not able to know what happened to the 2025 budget for the health institutions. We cannot see anything on the performance of the 2025 budget because health is a very critical sector in Nigeria. One would have loved to see how we fared in 2025 in the area of releases of money, particularly in the capital provisions made in the 2025 budget. No, I don't want to take it to be said that it's known. If it is true, if you speak for her,
Page 3. Please
Page
look
3?
at observation on page 3.
Observation.
I'm sorry you were not here when I was reading through it.
Yes.
But it's, yes, paragraph 4.0.
The second paragraph of 4.0.
Okay, so yes, I've seen it. Promise made for cash backing, but failed. No cash backing as at 31st December for 30%. So what it means is that there were no releases for 2025 in the health sector. That's why I wanted to ask this question, Chairman. Playing with the health of Nigerians' life is very terrible. We can go on no capital releases for diaspora commission, no capital releases for this and that. But for health, what are we expecting Nigerians to do if they cannot get adequate attention in healthcare? We can have zero releases in most of the agencies and crossover. But in health, that will lead to loss of human lives. Most of these hospitals that take care of our health, we do not have money to operate. It means that we are sentenced to death. So I just want to emphasize this. We can manage other situations, but for life and health care, Nigeria cannot afford to manage non-funding of our health institutions. It's a very terrible situation, Mr. Chairman. And I so submit in this budget defense for health that it is a tragedy. I want it to be put on record that if we don't release money to our health institutions, what it means that we don't care about the lives of Nigerians. This is very terrible, to say the least. Thank you.
Okay.
I absolutely agree wholeheartedly with the remarks. That was why when I made my report, I made due recognition of those areas. And we really have to increase the funding for health budgets. It's not just good enough. It's not just good enough. The hospitals could not do any work at all throughout 2025. I mean, apart from, capital work. Yes, they received salaries. Yes, even overhead was the 2024 overhead, not the 2025, as appropriated for them. So, and even some 2 months were not paid. They were only paid 10 out of 12 months. So they are really cringing to give health services. We need the support of this committee to give the health system adequate budgeting so that our people can benefit from quality health services across this nation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think what clearly underlines the concern that everybody seems to be sharing is implementation. And as Ome lamented, as it were, where sectoral allocations to health are not implemented, then there's a problem. I think so. It's important for us to emphasize the expediency in implementation. I have attended a number of sessions here where cases have been made for increase in allocations, increase in the framework, as it were. To me, the critical issue is implementation, that funds are released and in time. So and it's important that as a committee, we explore measures where we will make it very clear that the budget must be implemented, that releases must be effected, as much as possible. Otherwise, we will be undergoing an academic exercise, and we will undergoing a pastime, as it were, without emphasizing the process of implementation, the framework of releases, as it were. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. This is a comment. You are just...
Appraiser. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and fellow colleagues. Thank you.
This one.
So, thank you, Your Excellency, most distinguished Senator, the senator woman in our midst. We will always respect and recognize before any other one. Ndewo. I know you always do wonderful work. You have seen it all as far as administration and governance is concerned. So we can just look at your document and pass it. But all of us should ask that whatever you requested for, I is saying whatever you have requested as additional must be a goal. That's number one statement. The second part is, I'm seeing here support for newly established federal medical centers and federal universities of technology. That's one you have missed. The one of yours, you know about it. The Federal Medical Center Kigwe is not in this list. So I hope you can include it immediately. Please. Thank you very much. I trust you. And for this, I will say, Chairman, summarize. Let me move the motion. She's supposed to bow and go. Thank you.
Okay. Observation and flee. Thank you very much, Chairman, for the very robust presentation, and yes, very robust, and she has broadened our horizon on what is happening in our sector. We thank you very much for that presentation, and you may wish to step down. Then next we have the committee.
I think my recollection is that I will, with respect, wait for the chairman to finish the other call.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. No, but you're fine.
Sorry, sir.
Chairman can do no wrong.
Yes. You cannot go on, sir.
You have absolute control. So, sir, I think a lot of these, but first let me appreciate Her Excellency, the only former deputy governor, now highly distinguished senator.
Manu from Taraba. Manu from Taraba. True.
You are confusing me.
Yes, there is distinguished Senator Manu. He left as deputy governor and came here to be a senator.
But you mentioned, okay.
Yes.
Correction taken.
Very good.
But my statement remains the same. Thank you, sir. You know, with you, I will always be protected.
Yes.
I think it was over the past 1 year or so that most of these medical centers were passed by the Senate and maybe the House of Rep. And maybe also signed into law by Mr. President. So there's bound to be a time lag between when you, through the force of law, you establish an institution, and when that institution actually takes off. What was never clear when we passed those laws is whether there are structures that are going to be converted for this purpose, or maybe the idea is passed into law and then the governments have to provide the land for fresh construction to take place. I did not expect, and therefore I am not surprised if my assumption is correct, that once the National Assembly passed the law and President has said to it, that automatically you'll have money to run, because in most cases it's just a parcel of land. So I think we needed to be properly briefed whether, consequent upon the approval for the establishment of those new medical centers, whether the construction is going on, or money has been appropriated to start constructing, and whether the state government had a facility which the federal government has now appropriated through the instrument of the law, but they do not have staff. Nothing is there, just a clear building. I would imagine that it would require not just budgeting. There must be some administrative work that need to be done for these new ones to have life. I know the law gives them life, but whether they have been born into the real world for them to be able to provide services is unclear. Maybe additional information will be required.
Ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide our counsels and actions, so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria. Amen. Distinguished senators, we are supposed to, in the morning session today, take about 3 committees that have earlier indicated their intention and readiness to come and present their report. But to my surprise, we are waiting for them, and up to now they couldn't make it. And it is our time for formal adjournment and for prayer. So in view of that, we are going to stand down the proceedings of this meeting till 3 o'clock. So this meeting is hereby stood down to 3 o'clock to commence the receiving of reports.
Chairman, distinguished colleagues, and Your Excellency, and our clerks. Just to maybe provide a little bit of light on what His Excellency has just commented on. You know, there are 2 ways of establishing these institutions. The way we do it by passing the law, and then Mr. President will now assent to it, and then funds will now eventually be made available, whether there is a structure on ground or not, for that institution to take off. Another way is for the executive to take the initiative, construct the structures, establish it before we now pass a law to legalize it. I'm saying this because I'm aware of a federal medical center that a high-ranking government official built, fully built in his hometown before a bill was brought. So, but other bills can be brought when there's no structure on ground. So just, Your Excellency, to...
That is what I imagine.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I just want to add, Chairman kept saying that's something the governor of Borno State is known for. I remember in another committee, we actually commended the governor of Borno State. I think it is, can't remember the committee, but he has done exceptionally well and taken over. Okay, I think it is concerning.
Federal College of Education in my local government.
No, I think. Yeah. So I want to really commend the governor of Borno State and applaud him and call on other governors to take a leaf from his book and do for their citizens, because it is service provided to the citizens. Whether the state government that provides it or the federal government that provides it, it is service provided to the people of the state. So we commend the governor of Borno State and urge other governors to take that as a good example. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity.
They are our elders, so we have to continue.
My in-law is not based on the length of the cap. No, it's not based on the length of the cap. I asked first.
Is a young man. It's just
A young boy.
it's just as abuse.
Yes. Sir, talking seriously. I associate myself in commending the Borno governor. I mean, he's an outstanding governor across the country. People readily attest to his doggedness and so on. But I had a little bit of challenge with my distinguished friend who said we should encourage other governors to do the same. I think we should encourage the federal government to meet its responsibilities. If a state chooses to complement, fine. But the states, we shouldn't forget, have their own hospitals as well, in many cases. But if a federal government, in its wisdom, set up a federal facility, whether it's a general hospital, a teaching hospital, or a federal medical center, it should go the next further by giving practical financial support to bring it to life and make it functional. To us, as a policy here, to say we urge states to copy Borno, I am unable to, I will not have anything but commendation for any state that chooses to do so, but not as a substitute to the federal government obligation. You can dash my son something, do welfare, but it doesn't become a substitute for my responsibility as a father to clothe my child, to send the child to school, and to provide for the child. I just thought I should make that point, but without prejudice to the commendation, which I also associate myself with.
Distinguished Senator Ume.